kind of like, I don't know if it was like tabloid or a papyrus of an Egyptian writer saying that if they wanted to leave their mark, they should become kind of like scribes.
Oh, okay.
And
You know,
so kind of like I'm making that a reference as a way of like,
yes.
yeah, these spirits wanted to leave their mark, they wanted to be
Okay.
remembered,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't. And like the battle happened, and it's like, oh yeah, this battle happened, so bad, so many
Right.
numbers, and it was just one big tragedy. But
Right.
that big
But
tragedy
then,
had some small stories.
because people, the people are living it, and they might have, say, regrets or something that bugs them because they were wronged for some reason.
Hello and welcome to episode 59 of Jobless Weebs. I'm Marco, the Mirror Mexican, and with me today,
Brian.
nice. How are you, Brian?
Doing well. I had a pretty alright week. Yeah, I had a pretty okay week. Yes, it wasn't too bad, and I think it turned out okay, and well, I got rained on a little bit while going to work, so yeah, I think that was probably the most downer thing that I had of the week.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but it was okay. Not too hard of the rain. Oh, I was super excited about the One Punch Man announcement
Oh,
for
right.
third
I
season.
was going to tell you
Mhm.
that there was
Yep.
an announcement for the third season.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And for anybody who are reading the manga, Zero Punch.
Oh, that's a new move?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a new move. But yeah, it was announced for the third season. I want to say like not too long ago. Like, well, I mean, by the time the recording comes out, it would be already over a week or so.
Right.
But yeah, pretty exciting. So like it's in production. It's announced. We don't really know very many details though. When it's coming out or like who's even doing it and stuff, but we'll definitely be watching out for it.
Well, we had two different producers
That's right, yeah.
with both seasons, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't be that surprising to have an extra one doing the work.
Oh, no way. Okay. I was thinking like maybe one of the two, but maybe, yeah. A whole entire different studio may take it.
Oh boy, but
Yeah.
that's good. So over the weekend,
Yeah.
last weekend,
That's right, yeah.
or 2 weekends ago, by the time this comes out,
All right.
we watched a movie that was released in Japan a year ago, and kind of like I'm coming back to my complaint of
Oh, yeah.
why the heck are movies released a year after? It's like,
Yeah, for
But-
here, for us, yeah, it's already been out for a year, but it finally came overseas here, so we watched it.
yeah.
Aw, man.
So the movie is called Inu-oh,
Mhm.
and it was an interesting movie. It was.
It sure was.
It was a great movie.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
very fun.
I liked
High
it.
energy.
Not normally the type of movie that I would watch,
Yeah.
but because I honestly was expecting something way different, a bit heartwarming.
Yeah.
Because it was the tag was like music and historical, so I was kind of expecting something, a bit heartwarming
Yeah.
with some light-hearted music, and we got the complete opposite of that.
We did. We got some rock and roll and some other musical themes, and it was dark. Man, it was
Super
dark. Like at least like the story, and because a lot of it was about death and like, well, supernatural things, of course, but also like I don't even know, like betrayal maybe. I'm not
I
sure
guess,
quite
I mean,
to that point.
there were a lot of social and cultural issues that
Yeah,
were
yeah.
addressed in that movie,
That's right.
which is also surprising,
Mm.
given the kind of culture they have in Japan.
Mhm, mhm.
Because, you know, as far as history goes, and that's one of the things that I like when I was learning kind of like world history, is like
Oh yeah.
Japan is one of the few countries that was never conquered. They had kind of like a very rigid political system,
Right.
and so I there were a lot of questions that at least I couldn't get answer, or I don't know if they were
Ah.
just not important for like the overall of the movie. But
Okay. Okay.
and and if editor me manages to get a hold of some clips,
Mm.
that would be awesome. If not, well, let's work for editor me.
That's right. Absolutely. Yep.
But kind of like the movie started.
Mhm.
What's the name of this guy?
Oh yeah. Uh. Ooh. Tom. They changed it like 3 times. I believe
Right.
it started out with like Tomana.
To make it easier for us,
Yeah.
we will refer to him as Tomona
Okay. Yeah.
only.
Tomona.
I mean, we will mention when he changes
Oh.
his name and stuff. But
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That makes sense because he does change his name like multiple times. But yeah, Tomana. He is the main character. Yeah.
right, and the movie starts with him like and.
Well, we could
Starts
also
with
talk
him.
about that. But
Well, it was kind of weird.
that's the
of a
thing,
beginning,
though.
right?
That's the thing. Yeah. So that's the thing about this character, Tomana. He is kind of like the character that we experience the world through. I would say
Because
it starts out.
I mean, because
In
it
a entirely
starts kind of like
different
in
time. Yeah.
modern day Japan,
Yes. Yes.
and spoiler alert.
Mhm.
At the very beginning, it's like, oh yeah, there's a story like way in the
Yeah.
past, way in the past,
By a narrator
and
that's telling
and
us
this narrator turns out at the end of the movie that it was Tomona. So,
There you go.
but you don't know that, so it's like for now,
That's right.
it's the narrator,
Mhm.
and that's why we said spoiler alert.
Mhm.
We have this narrator that, from all the way to modern day
Mhm.
Japan or the world, whatever, he starts telling this tale that apparently has been forgotten, and then
Yeah.
also much later in the movie we learn why it has been forgotten. The animation is weird. It
Ooh,
starts.
yeah, it is.
It starts with the birth of a monster and a guy dancing in a weird mask,
Yeah.
and you're.
But this is after the scene transitions from the modern world
Yeah.
to like the scene the narrator is describing. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, and that was like
yeah, wasn't that a little like jarring for you? It was kind
Yeah.
of jarring for me because we start from this city scene, this street, and it's very modern. Cars are going around, but yeah, we get jolted into this this house, this scene of the old time. After we go through like the scene changing and changing and changing, especially the street going to like dirt streets.
Yeah, so like
I thought that was really
you see
cool.
this like how time was going backwards,
Yeah.
and like let me tell you, like at the very few minutes of the movie, I was like, what the heck am I watching? I was like,
Right.
because I mean, I did not look anything beforehand
Yeah.
about the movie. I
And
just
I
saw
just saw the trailer.
I just saw
myself.
it's a music one, it's
Yeah.
historical one. So it's like, all right, I'll give it a go. And then
Right.
first 5 minutes is like, what the heck am I watching?
Yep, exactly. See, I didn't even know it was tagged like, rock music when I was going into this. But yeah, it was so surprising.
Rock never existed at that time.
Right.
We're gonna talk about that because it's pretty important.
We see this.
I mean, at the beginning they just throw you
yeah.
a bunch of information,
Mhm.
and the animation, the colors
Yeah.
are pretty gloomy.
They
and
are.
dark and
Yeah.
up to a point ugly. I mean, not ugly in a bad way, but ugly in a
yeah.
good way, that they were trying to convey
Right.
negative emotions, kind of like disgust, or like awkwardness, because I was put off
even
by the
that.
animation. You know,
Well,
like
it's very jarring, and
Yeah.
it always, and the teeth
you're
especially.
like always the teeth or like the
Right,
mouth. It's
always.
just like
Oh boy. Right. I noticed that too, right from the get go, because it makes it makes the audience uncomfortable, and then you also mentioned the birth of a monster. Oh boy, we have like no context for anything that's happening, so we're like, what the crap is going on? And then
yeah, because in addition, it's like this weird music on the background,
yeah,
and
yeah,
a bunch of colors thrown at you after that, and you're like,
yeah, it has no place of reference. It has
Yeah.
no like story wise. We have no idea what's going on.
I mean, by that time I was like, I don't know how high the director
Oh no
or the author was during this portion,
sure.
but
Yeah.
I want to be like him, because it's like, dude, it's like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
then like
It
from that
wasn't just
it completely
just-
switches to a beach area,
Yes.
like
Yes.
kind of like a slums area
Mhm.
in the beach, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
now-
okay,
yeah,
like,
'cause
seems
now
we have
we're-
something normal now.
That's right. Because we see a kid, I believe, right around
Yeah.
there, like come back.
It
to
was
the
a
shore,
kid.
I believe.
It was a kid swimming on the ocean. He found something.
Ah, that's
he
what it
goes,
was.
He goes back to his home, or like the shop where his dad was, and
Yeah.
he's well, at the beginning I didn't even think he was his daddy. I thought he was kinda
Right.
like his boss or something.
Yeah, something to that nature. He like climbs up onto the roof, the second level. He like leans into the window there, and yeah, we see like this deal or this business transaction happening, but it's for treasure hunting.
Yeah. So apparently the kid and
Yeah.
his father, they're like divers, and they find treasure in the ocean. So like, yeah, you want something that it's in the ocean, we can get it for you for
I
a
think it was
price.
the river.
It was a river? I think it was a river.
I
Yeah,
want to
'cause
say because it
they
was
do
the
cover-
battle. It was where the battle took place.
yeah. So let's look at this again.
Oh yeah, good idea. Because it's a very specific battle. It's a very specific like area that this specific battle took place with the Heike.
It was the Genji clan, and their rivals were the Heike.
That's it. Yes. Okay. Genji clan and the Heike. Okay.
And it was the Battle of Dan Noura. Probably I'm missing something in the spelling or the pronunciation, but so this war, and we're looking at this right now.
Yeah, because we're not like experts or anything, nor do we really know like the history, but we'll try.
Yeah, I mean, I barely know the history of Mexico and
sure.
United States. Like,
Oh sure.
I feel like
right.
asking me for another country like that's asking a lot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so this is like old Japanese history where there were like the Heike and the Genji clans, and so oh man, I should have looked into this a lot more.
Yeah, well, this battle between these two sides apparently happened on April 25 of 1185. If memory serves me right, which might not, it was during the time where Japan was not unified. So
That's what it
had
was,
two
yeah.
two shoguns, one of the north and one on the south. So pretty much the battle was the battle between those two sides of the shoguns. And
right.
for the longest time in Japan also had some warring states, and so they had different leaders up until there was a point where Japan was unified under one shogun, and pretty much what the Warring States was, it was like a military ruled
Yep.
Environment.
It was, yes, because that's where the samurai thrived, and well, with the military trying to take over control of the other, well, shogunates, I would say, then yeah, there was a lot of battles and a lot of clans trying to get power, because I believe the emperor wasn't like really established at that time due to like succession.
Yeah, there were still some like power struggles,
Yeah, some power
succession issues
power
into
struggles.
who's the rightful
That's right.
leader,
hmm
or yeah, kind of like person appointed to
Oh yeah,
lead the
there you
land,
go.
and like there were, I think that it was a time when Japan was in a big of a mess,
Mm-hmm.
like in their organization, like in their political organization. And so after this battle, like these people that were making a business with Tomona's father were like, oh, we're
Yes.
looking for something that probably sank during the battle.
Oh yes.
And and so like, oh yeah, we can get it for you. So they go in a boat, they go to the ocean to where the part where the movie started.
Yep.
They get something kind of like in a box
Yeah.
or a chest kind of thing, right?
And they pull it up.
They
onto
pull it out.
the
He
canoe.
takes out. It was kind of like a magic sword that
Oh my god.
kills Tomona's dad instantly.
Yeah.
Just like kind of like slashes like as he's
Yeah.
taking
as he
the sword.
unsheathes the sword. Yep. There's a brilliant flash of light that just goes out
And
in like a disc almost parallel to the ground, and it slashes the dad in half basically, and then it blinds
yeah, 'cause
Tomona
it also
straight across
flashes
the eyes.
his eyes, so he
Yeah.
ends up blind.
Dude, and that was so shocking to me.
That was like, I don't know what's happening here yet. It's like,
Yeah, like I'm just trying to follow the movie, and then this happens, and bam, like Tomona's life is totally changed from that point on. And apparently this item, it was a sword, it was like the emperor's regalia. And so it also establishes that emperor's right of rule. I think there were 3 regalia
yeah,
according to the movie. We just see the sword as I try to
I believe
think
so.
of it. Okay, yeah, and so after that, Tomona's life is just totally wrecked, and I think we just see him like wandering around after that.
Pretty much.
right?
After that, like
Yeah.
we see her mother, Maureen,
Oh, the mother. Oh,
and
yes.
lamenting, and
Yeah.
from that, it's like he kind of like, because at the beginning I thought that this was like, okay, maybe this is a tale of kind of like revenge, that he wanted to find those 2 people that made the deal with his father to make them pay or whatever. But it's like, no, he's just he was
Yeah.
looking for them, but kind of like at some point he just gave up, or that's the part that I was confused.
Oh, okay.
Because he was wandering and he was looking for
he
some
was-
people.
So what I remember is that I think Tomona knew that it was the story of the Heke, or the
yeah, it was the Heke.
Heke. Yeah, so he was looking for like more information on the Heke, because I think he only knew that the sword was responsible for his dad's death and becoming blind, but other than that, I don't think he really knew like where it all fit. So I think he just knew that he could find more information
Okay, so he
from
just
the towns.
wanted to know more about like why the sword was kind of like magical or so.
Yeah, like
Okay.
or even why the sword was even there on the bottom of
I guess that
of
would
the
make
sea.
sense.
Yeah, because I think also the sword was thrown down there uh, as some sort of like ritual or some sort of like trying to appease
Right.
something, and so like, oh man, it was messed up. They like whoever like threw down the sword in this case also like tied together a mother and a son,
A
or
kid, yeah, a kid
and
and her. I think it was her grandmother. No, her
his,
mother.
his mother.
It was
Okay,
like the
a
empress of the
kid and
Heike
okay,
and
that's
the emperor to be
emperor to be. Oh, okay.
kid.
I see. Okay, yeah. So they threw it down. I think
Yeah, and I think that they were thrown
some of the
out just
story.
because, like, if they didn't die, then like, yeah, he was the rightful ruler.
Right,
It's like
right. So it was
that's pretty
all
stupid from you guys.
yeah,
Like,
it was all like very wrapped in this type of story and like folk tales that this would like appease something or this was like the right thing to do. And so I think that story that the Heike did that was known by Tomona. So yeah, he was wandering to those towns to like get more information, but he ran into
a monk.
Basically
Yeah,
yeah,
it was a Biwa monk.
yes, a biwa. Yeah, that's right. And this monk was like playing on his instrument. There's a specific name for that.
It's the Biwa.
The biwa.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a biwa. Okay, there you go. So yeah, the biwa. And so Tomona comes up because he's listening and he's like, hey, like what, like I want to learn more about this stuff, like what are you doing or what not. And then they both find out that the other is blind. So they're both blind. So I thought that was pretty cool when they were trying to like figure out who the other one was. They would like feel the name, I think is like the identification name.
Right.
Yeah. The priest or like the monks was carved, but then Tomona's was just ink still at that time.
Going really fast forward
Yeah.
into the future, he stays with the monk. He becomes an apprentice, and it turns out that it was kind of like it was just like a big organization of monks playing the biwas, and their job was singing the stories of the battles of the Heikes.
That's right.
Kind of like, kind of like keeping tradition, keeping kind of like in a way to indoctrinate the people that would listen to them.
Kind of like retelling that story
Yeah.
in this very prescribed, very traditional way.
Yeah, and kind of like in addition to those songs, there were also
oh yeah,
dancing.
the dancer. Yeah, that's right. Almost like a performer with the music as a backdrop.
The name of the dance is No. N-O-H. And pretty much is a dramatical dance that depicts major events in history. In the movie, it is depicted that there are kind of like two different troops, right? One that is the one that is in charge of performing for the emperor.
Oh, yes.
And the one that is in charge of performing for the masses.
Yeah,
or
for
the
the
commoners.
For the commoners, that's right.
So those are kind of like the two big things that, in a way, the government uses to indoctrinate people about their traditions, like the Biwa monks and their chantings, and the No dances.
Yes.
From either the troop or for the commoners or the troop for the emperor.
Yeah.
And so like at this point, I was like,
Ah,
okay, yeah, whatever.
sure.
I don't get it
Oh, right,
until they
right. Oh,
introduce
sure. Ah.
this new character
Mm-hmm.
that has no name,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always covered in lots of clothing and has a mask, and it's just like running around town,
Oh, yeah.
and you're like, what the heck is
What the
that?
heck? Right, because the gourd mask has two holes, and you can see two eyes, like like positioned vertically like that. So it's really really uncanny. And
Yeah.
then along with the way he moves, this character that we see, and this character is like
I mean,
an animal at first.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not even like a human like
Yeah,
form.
not even. Yeah, and oh man, yeah, that was quite fascinating.
Then you
watching
make the
this.
connection, like, oh, I
Mhm.
think this is the monster that was burned at the beginning of the movie. It's like,
Mhm,
oh, okay.
mhm. Right.
Still, I have no idea
No,
what's happening.
right. Yep. Yep. And yeah, it's just like it's very very involved with this character, how this character moves. We see through one of the eye holes, which is kind of interesting, like that character's
Oh,
perspective.
right.
That was pretty cool. But then we see this character get kind of involved with the chanting and the dancing, especially with some other characters trying to like learn how to dance and stuff. So this character like tries dancing also, and we notice that one of the arms is like super super long, abnormally long, and it's like really really, really uncanny because the character could like dance really well, but yeah, then we see kind of transformations happening around that time.
Yes, it is kind of like him dancing.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, like when he gets legs, you're like,
Oh yes.
okay,
Yep.
magic, or I don't know, something.
Yep. Something. Yep.
Then he gets involved with Tomona,
That's right.
and he's like, hey, aren't you gonna like scream, run,
Oh yeah.
something? I was like, sorry, man.
Can't
blind.
see. Yep. I'm
He's like,
blind. It's like, oh,
well,
okay.
that sucks.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, I wanted you to,
Right, he was
run.
yeah, because this character, he's used to people like running. It's like his thing in this town. But then Tomona, he's like, what are you, basically, and he's like, oh, I have no name or whatnot.
Yeah, I like how they
Yeah.
were depicting how Tomona perceived things, even though he was
Oh
blind.
yes. Okay, yeah. I mentioned that when we got out of the theater. I mentioned that it was very impressionistic. It was a lot of like impressions from that point of view, especially Tomona, because everything was very vague and brush like with
Yeah,
the colors and
you
stuff.
can like see some shadows of
yeah,
like
just shadows.
what was
was so
there,
cool.
and it's like, oh boy. So
Yeah.
his first interaction, we just see kind of like
Mhm.
a red blur in there interacting with him, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, like those are some great colors and way to depict blindness.
Oh sure.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, like being blind, everyone, or well, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, no color, no whatever. It's like,
Right.
okay, but so they turn kind of like blindness into something more
like a visual depiction, maybe.
right,
Right, because
which sounds kind of weird, 'cause
yeah,
it's like,
it is because we're trying to watch this, but the character is blind, and so how do we like go about like showing this
right, it's
for
like,
our audience?
okay, yeah, just
So, yeah, I
put in
thought that was
something
really
dark.
cool.
There's
Right.
nothing artistic about it. Let's do something.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, it was very impressionistic, very much more like how they perceive each other. And because one, yeah, it's like the social aspect. Yeah, he doesn't get scared or like run off, so he just stands there. And then the other is like very like, oh yeah, I kind of have an impression that there is someone here, but I can't quite see.
Right.
So yeah, they like have a jam session, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
like
pretty cool.
he starts playing. He's like, "Hey, do you know how to play?" Like, of course I know how to play. And he starts jamming the B-wall,
Yep.
and he starts dancing.
Yeah.
They can like become best friends.
Yeah.
In the spur of the moment.
Yeah,
like,
to the point where
okay.
it's to the point where they have like this synergy and this great interaction of just the two of them. And so I'm not even sure if I can't even remember how they start, but they just start like performing with each other with a couple of other people. So it's as if they make
I think that's like
a little bit farther though.
Yeah, a little bit farther, because after that, like, yeah, they jam together, like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, hey, you don't have a name. How will I meet you again? It's like, oh, well.
Oh, that's right.
I've chosen a name, so we will see you around. And then it just like
okay. There's
goes
quite a
forward
bit more.
in the future a few years. They're adults now.
Mm-hmm.
He's still super huge with his long arm.
That's right.
But everything else is still distorted.
Yep.
We have no idea why he's like that yet.
Yep. No,
until it turns out that like another answer is like, oh, maybe spirits are the cause.
Yeah. And so, that's right, because they have that interaction kind of above the town.
Yeah.
Where they're kind of overseeing the valley almost. And then, that's right, because Tomona, that's when he's kind of like a little bit older. He's hanging out with the other character, I believe, Inu-oh. That's right, Inu-oh. And so there's when we kind of figure out that they're trying to figure out like the spirits and the supernatural side of things. Tomona with his dad, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we mentioned it. We kind of skip it, but the spirit of his dad still looks around. That's why I thought he was looking for revenge, because he was able to see his dad's spirit.
That's what it was.
But then it's like, well, that has nothing to do with it, and okay. Yeah. So his dad tells him like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of spirits that didn't rest in peace during the battle of the Heike.
Yeah, and he's like, they're all around.
And so then he's like, oh yeah, I can see them. After he's told that, and Inu is like, oh yeah, I can see them, and he apparently can listen to them.
Right.
And as he listens to them, I guess they just wanted their stories to be heard so they could rest in peace. Which in a way it sounds also really profound, because
it is.
Well, I don't remember. In one of my history classes back in college, I think I remember kind of like, I don't know if it was like tabloid or a papyrus of an Egyptian writer saying that if they wanted to leave their mark, they should become kind of like scribes.
Oh, okay.
And so kind of like I'm making that reference as a way of like, yeah, these spirits wanted to leave their mark. They wanted to be remembered, but they weren't. And like the battle happened, and it's like, oh yeah, this battle happened so bad, so many numbers, and it was just one big tragedy. But that big tragedy had some small stories.
Because the people are living it. And they might have, say, regrets or something that bugs them because they were wronged for some reason. And they want to get that story out to other people. And actually, it does connect to a lot of literary traditions. With my background in college studying literature, there are tons of things, tons of like literature and peoples that were very, very into like, write your story so that you can live on so that you can be immortalized or whatnot. Poetry, epics, all sorts, from like the Greek to Italians and whatnot. Yeah, it's incredible. So yeah, they tell Inu-oh like their stories.
Yeah, and this is the part that I wanted to touch, and
Yeah.
because from this point in, they start performing
Oh
in a
yes.
very bizarre way.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that everyone at the theater that day was like, "What the heck is that?" And we just started laughing off because.
Well, it was so out of the blue. It's a historical like retelling, and we watch rock music in this anime movie, so
Yeah,
it is really, really different than say what we may have expected.
yeah. I mean, it's just straight up rock, like with the B was like, but the
Somehow
music
it's straight up.
it's not. I mean, it is biwa,
Right,
but it
it's
also
straight
has
up
some like
rock.
electric guitars,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
drums,
Uh-huh.
and it's like. Okay, like I don't think this
Right.
music should be in here now.
Right.
Because
It was-
it's also Tomona just like
Yeah.
telling the story of how his friend can tell stories.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a narration. It's him, and of course he's like adapting all of this, but he's adapting it in this way that he's telling the story of him listening to his friend, listening to the spirits of the Heke, and then he's like, "Hey, if you don't believe me, like." Listen to him yourself.
Yeah,
And I just
and
love
he's just
that.
like a rock star. He's like
Yeah,
long hair.
long
like,
hair. He's
just like
he's
moving his hair like
headbanging.
yeah.
Yep, and they have a fire breather.
A fire
it's
breather,
so
and like
cool.
and people just like
People,
yeah.
they're just rocking.
You're
Well,
like,
at first
what the-
they're like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Because it's small at first, but then we get more and more people like loving it, and it's way different. It's so out of the norm, and then we see Inu-oh start performing.
Right
a
after
very-
the opening act of Tomona.
Yep.
Like he performs like under the bridge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Tomona was on top of the bridge by the railing, and then Inu-oh is underneath, and he has like he's decked out. He has like a special mask on. He has a fake arm to like match his long arm, and then he kind of dances his own style, which is so cool.
Right, because right at the time, you know, like the no dance.
Ah, yes.
It's
very
very
fluid.
precise.
Yeah.
Kind of like fluid.
Yeah.
It's not exactly up to a beat or kind of like a modern beat.
Oh, sure. But it's very traditional.
Yeah, because it was more like acting, more like dancing. It was more like acting.
More acting. Exactly.
Like kind of like
With the
slow
mask.
motion acting.
Yeah.
Very precise.
Yeah.
In the movements, and I think there are a few animes that mention that type of dance.
Oh, really?
I don't think there's one for that
Specifically for this?
but I think a few animes have mentioned that type of dance before. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Gotcha,
But
gotcha.
the way he dances is
Oh, yeah.
kind of like a modern dance would be.
It is, yeah. With like knee popping and like spinning movements and it tells the story. It's still performing,
Yeah.
but it's much more of his own movements of his like of the way that he thinks dancing should be.
Yeah, more dynamic movements. Kind of like I detected a lot of kind of like hip hop, break dance.
Yep, exactly. Some even like Michael Jackson.
Some ballet.
Even
And some artistic
ballet,
gymnastics.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you see a lot of that throughout the like
Their
that point on
performances.
until the end of the movie.
That's right. And all this time, he keeps transforming. The story keeps transforming. It's never the same. They perform a few times as they like become more popular, and Inu-oh hears and listens to more stories, and so he like transforms. His arm goes back to a regular sized human arm, and his other arm like pops out too, and so it's like as this goes along he transforms. So I think the story and his body are like super connected too.
Yes, and we also later on we learn what was the relationship.
That's
but
right.
It's like, yeah, as he performs
Mm-hmm.
more stories, because
Mm-hmm.
he never repeated the stories.
Right.
That's why his
Right.
body was changed. He was still changing to like a regular person.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
exactly,
at the same
exactly.
time, it kind of like provoked this social boom
Yeah.
in Japan, up to the point where kind of like
The emperor's noticing
the people
it.
of Japan were unifying under a
yes.
different banner,
Yes.
which was the music banner.
The music banner, even more so than the emperor ever could up to this point. So it's like the people are like becoming one, which is really cool. But yeah, of course there are a lot of different plots, a lot of different like layers to what's happening specifically with the emperor, and then of course with the pressures that he's putting on the performers, the biwa traditional people. And of course the wife is like intrigued. The wife to the emperor is intrigued by Inu-oh, because it's like usually they perform with masks, the dancer, but they sometimes request like having the mask off. So she's like, oh yeah, I want to see him perform without the mask at the last section of the song for this part. So,
Yeah.
so it's like huge.
They were invited
so crazy.
to like the imperial palace, and
Yep.
everything was great. That was the best performance ever.
Yep.
During that time, we learned what was the reason of why he was with that deformed body.
Yes.
And we're not gonna tell like you should see that, and it was
Yeah.
super gory.
It is a must watch for that part. Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
And what I wanted to touch was that part, because it's like, oh yeah, he created this whole movement, and I was like, I was trying to, kind of like find a reference to history.
Okay.
More in the future, because like
yeah.
back in the time is like the Shogunate period.
Right.
Japan was not unified, so they were not really like happy people, like, and that's the impression they give you, like, the town, it seems like gloomy, a lot of great colors in just the overall scenario. And it becomes really colorful only when there are performances.
Oh, that's a good point.
So it's like, and this music movement stirred up something in society at that time that it shouldn't have been.
Oh, yes. And like because of the music, specifically. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, like, in the past here, like 60s, 50s, like when the music movement kind of like changed, like people going out concerts because of the music, like rebelling to the government. And the government not being happy about it.
Right, yeah. So it's like, so we definitely know about like these periods of time nowadays because it has happened, of course. But yeah, Japan. Yeah, I would say it probably wasn't rock music specifically.
Right.
Definitely not in this era that the anime is showing. But yeah, it is. Did you like look into that or like?
No, I
see. Oh yeah.
no, I didn't. But like,
yeah, but yeah,
but,
it's like totally different.
The movie
than,
pretty much tells us like, well, yeah, this happened, but then
right.
no one really knows about this because the government then acted.
Now this is the part,
and that's the
oh man,
the tragedy part.
This is the part, right?
Of the movie, because I thought like, oh, they're doing great. It's like,
right,
this is close into the ending, like,
yeah,
happy ending. He becomes like the best Biwa player. He becomes the best no dancer.
No dancer. They start this revolution, and this people become happier.
Yeah, become happier, become unified, and it's like, screw the shoguns.
Right. Like, who needs the government, right?
But then
they have music.
After the last performance, the Emperor is like, I'm banning this type of music. We will just use the ones that are already originally played by the Biwa monks.
Banning
and it's like, and no, I love your dancing, man, but
stop doing what you're doing.
Stop doing that, please. Unless you want the head of your friend rolling, and it's like, and he complies.
Right, he laughs
because he already is at the top.
Yeah, he is.
Of the place where he was just dreaming about back when he was just an animal.
Right. He's the top. He's the best. They performed literally for the Emperor already. But yeah, the Emperor tells him no. And he agrees.
I mean,
and so
not completely agrees.
Oh, sure. But he's like, I'll be your dancer.
He kind of like, okay, all right, yeah. Because they're like, well, if you don't comply, we're not going to kill you. We're going to kill your friend.
We're going to kill your friend, right.
So he's like, okay, yeah.
Yep. And then that's like where we see him last.
Yeah. And we see Tomona
kind
of like suffering because like this movement was definitely ahead of its time.
Oh. Yep. And so Tomona is like, he gets word that he can't play anymore. That like they'll only recognize the traditional troupe, the correct quote unquote.
Yeah, because they were like, we don't need more stories.
Right. Because he was adding those stories.
We don't want people to know more stories. We don't want people to be, to have knowledge, to have freedom.
Infused with this energy. Yeah. Freedom. It did kind of represent a sort of freedom, I would say. Yeah.
It's like, no, we have history. We have events.
Tradition.
They are already in these songs and on these dances. We don't need any new stuff that would make people think. And that's it. It's like,
and so Tomona, he
refuses.
right. And well, and there's a lot to do with the name and with like what name are you known by, and so that like accumulates and kind of crescendos at this particular part because he will not abandon his new name basically and like conform to what the Emperor tells him. So the like guard basically comes over and physically is there to like drag him away, to make him comply to the point of death. And then later, this is so sad.
It was sad. It was confusing at the same time because
he was
killed. His head was rolling, and I don't want to be any more specific.
That's right. Yep, because he just will.
Somehow,
stop.
he cursed the earth, or I don't know what he did. But kind of like he
became a spirit,
right? Kind of like a bad spirit, because he was still.
Yes.
Even on present time, he was like, yeah, all of these things happened, things changed, and everyone soon forgot.
Yeah.
The other stories from the Heike.
Right.
And even though Inu-oh was the best performer of his time,
right,
they changed his name.
Yeah, and so people forgot about him too eventually. Yeah. And so we see Tomona kind of like decrepit on the road, trying to like sing or trying to like speak his stories, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's still with the B-work.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Right. Even after death. Which kind of makes me think something too. And also at that point, that's when we see Inu-oh come up to Tomona in like the spirit realm, this like spirit to spirit talking with each other. Inu-oh is like, hey, you changed your name. It was really hard to find you.
Like, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, Inu-oh, he freed a lot of spirits.
He was the one.
That's why he was able to like have a regular body afterwards.
That's right.
So in a way, he kind of
like
freed his friend from his story, like that he had to tell, that he wanted to tell, and he was like, okay, yeah, I'm listening. Yeah. You changed your name. I was like, dude, I was looking for you. Like, what the heck were you? Like, you should have told me that you changed your name.
Yeah. And then this is the most incredible part. The two of them as spirits transform back to what they looked like on that bridge when they first met as kids, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of, yeah. And then they start jamming out again, and it's so beautiful. And then they kind of rise up, and so it's like, what the heck? But I was like, we're like, what am I watching? The heck? Yeah,
crappy. Well, not crappy ending. It was a great ending, but
like
that's not what the audience wanted. Probably the author knows.
But I have an idea for that. But right, because we came out of the theater and we were. Remember, I think we were saying how like the two of them, they kind of had crappy endings.
Yeah, that was a tragedy. That was
with the emperor treating them the way the emperor did and like getting killed. At least their mortal lives, it sucked.
Right.
When I'm thinking about it again, maybe it's like we're the ones being told the story now, maybe. I don't know, but maybe that's like supposed to be the transformation. Like we're the listeners to the tale, the stories, and stuff.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way,
yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool way to tell the story in that way.
Yeah, I actually never thought about it that way.
Oh yeah.
But I mean.
But yeah, we definitely did have strong feelings for the movie when we came out of the theater.
It was a great ending. It was not an ending that I was expecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was like, okay, yeah, you know what? Because especially in anime, you expect like, oh yeah, an open-ended ending.
Oh, at the very least.
That if it's not happy, at least it's not bad. It's like, okay, life goes on.
Right, yeah.
Things are like, it's not exactly like, oh, and they live happily ever after. No.
Sure.
But life continues and it wasn't that bad. But with this one, it's like,
oh yeah, they died.
It's like, okay, things weren't as bad when they were already dead as spirits. So it's like,
oh, okay. At that part.
Yeah,
okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because they struggled to get to the top.
Right.
To get recognition and acceptance from society.
Oh yeah.
Because they were criticized that their methods for like dancing or singing were unorthodox
and maybe even terrible by some people.
Yeah,
tons of people loved it.
Kind of like opposing to the morals in a way, because they're like, he's dressing like a prostitute. And
right.
Like, chill.
Okay.
He's just wearing a bit of makeup and
it's
chill, okay?
right. Because it's supposed to be a certain way, but in that society, it's like it's like bad or
right. So it's not like they had a walk in the park.
Sure.
While they were getting to the top, and once they made it to the top, it's like, okay, they should be famous. They should be enjoying life, and it's like that's exactly what didn't happen. Yeah, it was a great movie.
It was, yeah. I liked it. I think we had fun watching it.
Yeah.
not what we expected.
Right. But it was a good movie all in all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was the episode for today.
Yeah, go watch the movie.
Yeah, if it's available somewhere in a streaming service or whatever, go watch it.
Yeah.
If not, whenever it's available, we recommend you to watch it at least one time. It's
yes, at least once.
Yeah, it's a good movie about a great tragedy.
Yes.
Okay, because a lot of times you're like, oh yeah, the movie's great. And it's like, okay, what's the movie about? Well, so it turns out that this person dies and everyone else dies. And it's like, how is that good?
Oh, sure, right.
So yeah, it's a tragedy. Like, if you don't like tragedies, I guess you can pass on that. But
sure.
Like, if you can deal with those, go watch it. It's entertaining, and it kind of like relates a lot with a lot of things that are happening right now, like in society.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I would say it's really relatable with just a ton of different things, and just trying to like have a good life. I think in the modern world, this kind of like pulls you out of that too, which is pretty fun.
All right, but thanks for watching this episode. We will see you next time.
Till then, keep watching
anime.
That's right.